Hi guys, welcome to revision screencast 2 for the muscular system. Today we're going to be looking at muscle fibre types. So with regards to the other screencast, you've already got the specifications on there, so you can look back at those when it comes to the specification and how we're actually going to answer a question by looking at the question involved and kind of like picking out key points and so on. So first of all, muscle fibre types. We need to be aware that our skeletal muscles are made up from all sorts, from muscle fibres, okay, and there's two main categories that they fall into. Again, you've got type 1, which is kind of like known as slow twitch. You've got some more academic terminology for those, but you can have it as just type 1 slow twitch, and type 2 fast twitch. Now, the mix of fibres varies from individual to individual, and within the individual, from muscle group to muscle group. So specific different muscles have different types of muscle fibre types, for example. So your rectus spinae, which its job is to maintain the stability of your actual spine, that is predominantly made up of slow twitch muscle fibres because it is there to kind of resist fatigue, doesn't need a fast contraction type. It is there to kind of like just support your spine. So if we just get into it, we've got 3 different types of muscle fibre types. Can you just get those down, please, for me? Just pause this and get those down. So you've got slow oxidative, type 1, fast oxidative glycolytic, type 2A, and fast glycolytic, type 2X. Now, you can just know these as slow twitch type 1, fast twitch type 2A, fast twitch type 2X. Okay, you don't necessarily need to know or remember the kind of oxidative glycolytic, fast glycolytic. Now, slow oxidative, if you remember it, that's to do with endurance events such as marathon running, Tour de France, and so on. Fast oxidative glycolytic is more for your 400 meters, 800 meters type of running events. They're fast contracting, they're able to produce great force, but also have some resistance to fatigue. If we go back to slow twitch contracts slowly, hence slow twitch, with less force, and they're slow to fatigue, either have a high resistance to fatigue. And then that's for aerobic kind of activity. And then finally, type 2X, fast glycolytic. They contract very rapidly or fast and have large force. Okay, so generate a lot of force, but they fatigue really quickly. So they're better suited for anaerobic events such as the 100 meters race. Okay, so defining key terms. Now we need to do this because those muscle fibers, you need to know the structure and characteristics of those muscle fibers. And with regards to the structure of those muscle fibers, you do have specific kind of key terms you need to be aware of. So there's 3 key terms when it comes to kind of muscle fiber types. If you're talking about slow twitch muscle fibers and the structure of slow twitch muscle fibers contain 2 kind of organisms or parts of cells, okay? And what I want you to do is just try and just see if you can remember them, writing them down here. That makes them very beneficial for what they do. So slow twitch muscle fibers, aerobic for long distance athletes, slow contraction of speed, low force. The key terms I want you to think of, they both start with an M. Okay, so if you can get those down, that would be good. And then for fast twitch muscle fibers, when we're talking about the structure of fast twitch muscle fibers, so the oxidative glycolytic and the glycolytic, so type 2A and 2X, they have got a fuel in them that hopefully you should know a bit more about with regards to considering the last couple of lessons we've done about energy systems, and that starts with a P. Okay, so see if you can get that down. If you can't, we're going to move on to it now anyway. So mitochondria, I want you to fill in the gaps. Myoglobin, fill in the gaps, and then we have phosphocreatine, and if you can fill in the gaps for me there. So what you should have is mitochondria structure in the cytoplasm responsible for aerobic energy production. So you'll get these in slow twitch muscle fibers. Mitochondria in slow twitch muscle fibers, that's important to know. Myoglobin, what myoglobin does, it's the protein that actually transports oxygen to the mitochondria. So myoglobin is important for aerobic energy production, i.e. slow twitch muscle fibers, because it's also to do with oxygen and getting oxygen to the mitochondria. And then phosphocreatine, we should be aware this is a high energy kind of like compound stored in the muscle cell, used as fuel for high intensity energy production, i.e. the ATP-PC system. So phosphocreatine is found within those fast twitch muscle fibers. So what I want you to do, this could be a typical question when it comes to your exam. Describe the structure and characteristics of slow twitch type 1, fast twitch type 2A and fast twitch type 2X muscle fibre types. So this is how we're going to remember it. Structural, first of all, you've got to talk about size times 1. So the size of the muscle and then 1 of a structural component of that. Functional, remember we changed functional into functional, and then you've got FOC fatigue. And what I'm going to do here is, if you start with slow twitch muscle fibre, if you just put slow and then bracket the low equals low plus slow, you have your answers for functional. So you've got functional, slow twitch muscle fibers equal, just bracket the low, low force of contraction, speed of contraction, slow speed of contraction. Okay, so, and then fatigue, I'll continue with slow twitch muscle fiber fatigue. They have high resistance to fatigue. So what I want you to do is to, using that, see if you can get down information regarding fast twitch type 2A and 2X, and then we'll go through the answers. So, slow twitch type 1 structural, they're small. Slow twitch muscle fibers tend to be small, high in mitochondria, high in myoglobin, and they have a high capillary content as well. Function, functional, FOC fatigue, force of force of contraction, low force of contraction, speed, slow speed of contraction, high resistance to fatigue. And then I've just, for this one, I've gone type 2X, so I've gone the extreme, the opposite. Structural, they're large, okay, high in phosphocreatine structurally. Functionally, fast speed of contraction, high force of contraction, low resistance to fatigue, i.e. they fatigue quickly. So that's the type of information you need to put down for your answers when if it's asking you to describe the structure and characteristics of different types of muscle fibers. So please, what I want you to do now is to give this question a go. So if you can pause and just answer that for me. Okay, so type 2X, don't accept type 2X, or as I've got there, fast twitch glycolytic, contract producing high force. So we're used in football for speed, power-based movements, such as taking a shot, jumping for a header. So 3 marks, you would have got 2 for FOC, i.e. force of contraction, speed of contraction. Then you get your extra marks for applying it to the actual sport. You have to apply it to the question, are you a footballer? Why is that good? Has more power when producing a shot, or has more power when sprinting away from defenders, if it was a forward, for example. Right, okay, nervous control. I've gone straight into an exam question with this, okay, because we didn't have a memory method for it. So I just wanted to test to see if you actually remember it. So the nervous system controls a force Tristan applies when kicking the ball. Describe the law associated with nervous control of the muscular contraction or muscle contraction. When it comes to nervous control, you have to understand, when it comes from muscular contraction, a message is sent to the brain, and then the brain relays kind of like a message down nerve endings to innervate the muscle, to make the muscle contract, okay? Now, that's all I want to say about this, and then we'll go on to actually what the answer is, and we'll talk about it if needs be. So, the all or none law is what it's called, and what it means is all muscle fibers within a motor unit will either contract or not. It's as simple as that. So what happens is a message gets sent to the brain saying, I need to move my leg. Let's say I need to contract my quadricep. So a message goes from your quadricep to your brain, and your brain will then send a message, an action potential, down a motor neuron, okay? Goes down the motor neuron, and then if loads and loads of things happen within that, but let's just say if the message is not powerful enough, none of the motor unit will contract, okay? So none of the muscle fibers within the motor unit will contract. If the message is powerful enough, all of the muscle fibers within a motor unit will contract. So it's literally an all or none law. They all either contract or none of them contract within a specific motor unit. Okay, what I want you to do with regards to this section, if you go back onto the Moodle page and get up the PowerPoint for muscle fibre types and just re-look over that if you struggled with it. And what I want you to do in preparation for next week's lesson, or sorry, next week, so Monday's screencast, I want you to look up the responses of the muscular system to a single sport or exercise session using the PowerPoints and screencasts that are available on Moodle for that. Okay, thank you. Bye.